Unlike the Sega Genesis, the PlayStation, and basically all of Nintendo's consoles, the TurboGrafx-16 has been largely ignored by third parties when it comes to modern accessories. That is starting to change though, and enthusiasts like myself are starting to get a few options, largely in the form of HDMI cables and controllers for the original system. We still don't have a whole lot, but there are two main third-party controllers that seem to have risen to the top for those of us who might be looking for a replacement to or an alternative to our aging standard issue turbo pads. Those two are the old school Control Pad and Hyperkin's Specialist. Now, I do have some experience with old school as I use the Classic 2 system to play my NES and SNES games, and I really like it as a mid-range clone console, so I'm expecting a decent controller here. As for Hyperkin, I don't have really any experience at all with them, but I have kept an eye on their systems over the years, and I'm interested to see what they've come up with for the TurboGrafx. Since I've ended up with both of their controllers though, I thought it would be interesting to do a one-to-one comparison and also judge them against the original. And right off the bat, I noticed the cord lengths are wildly different here. While old school's controller has a fairly short cord, about the same length as the original, which was too short, Hyperkin's cord is way longer, almost too long. This one would definitely stretch across most living rooms comfortably. Something that I enjoy is that they both come with adapters so that they can work on PC engines, which is nice to see, but the cord length and the aesthetics are just one thing. It's not really all that important. What matters the most is how well they play. So in order to determine that, I decided to pick a couple of games that I'm very familiar with, so I'm more likely to pick up on any type of input lag or anything else weird that might happen while playing on them. The D-pads and the 1 and 2 buttons are all nice and clicky and feel pretty much like I expect them to across both. I did notice my thumb slipping off of the Hyperkin's D-pad a little bit at first, but I either subconsciously started compensating for it or something, because after a while it wasn't happening anymore. Old school's run and select buttons are noticeably mushier and more shallow than the originals and Hyperkin's though, and I really don't enjoy that about this one. It might not be a huge deal for other consoles, but a lot of TurboGrafx games use the run and select button for more than just pausing, and I never really felt secure about whether or not they were going to work when I pushed them, since they give you so little feedback. Although to be fair, they did ultimately work fine, they just didn't feel like they would. I also noticed a slight difference in the switches. I feel like the switches were a little cheaper feeling on the old school, and it's kind of hard to make either of them go to the middle setting. They just naturally want to go all the way in one direction or the other with not much resistance at all. And to be fair, how often do you really want these on the middle setting? Not often, and it's not a big deal, but I did notice it. While the size and the shape of the old school seems basically identical to the original, the Hyperkin's is a little bit thicker, and you do notice that in your hands. Your preference on that may vary, but I kind of like how the Hyperkin one fills up my hands a little bit better. I also like the stylings of the Hyperkin. While the old school is trying to be more of a replica, the Hyperkin is trying to be something a little different and offer some variety with its thickness and just its overall look. And I do like it quite a bit. Both controllers sort of have a light, almost cheap feel to them overall. Neither of them are too bad about that, but I would have liked a little bit more weight to them. So because of that, I think the original still feels best to hold. Another thing I wanted to check was the compatibility with the TurboTap, which I'm glad I did, as old school's controller did not work with it at all. I tried multiple ports and even another TurboGrafx system just to be sure, and yeah, doesn't work at all. Old school did send me an email telling me that they have made a newer version of the controller that fixes the issue, but annoyingly declined to send it to me. So maybe if you buy their controller now, it'll be fine. I don't know. I'm not going to purchase a whole nother one just for that, so I can't confirm that. On the other hand, the Hyperkin Specialist worked fine with the TurboTap, so that's kind of a big deal to me. So ultimately, between the two, I gotta give it to the Hyperkin Specialist, and honestly, it's not even close. Between the shallow and mushy run button and select button, the short cord, and the incompatibility with the TurboTap, I see no real reason to get this one over Hyperkin's, especially considering that they're the same price of about $30 on their respective websites, which is a little high for both of them honestly, since genuine original controllers aren't a whole lot more and they still feel the best. But if you just want a new controller to have as a backup, or if you just want to experiment with something different, the Hyperkin Specialist is a fine choice. It seems well made, it has good buttons, it has a nice long cord, and I really like its overall design. So anyway, if you've tried either of these controllers or maybe some other one that I'm not aware of, let me know what you think down in the comments and we'll keep that conversation going because I love talking about this kind of nerdy stuff. But until then, thanks for watching.